Hello everyone, this is Teacher Marge and welcome back to my channel. This time in this lesson video, we'll have percent of increase, which is tax. So we will be solving problems involving tax. Ano ba tong tax na to? Okay, pag sinabing tax sa Tagalog, sa Filipino, ang tawag natin dyan ay buwis. Okay? So when we talk about tax, we are referring to buwis. Ano ba yung buwis? Buwis yung binabayad natin pag bumibili tayo ng item o kaya gumagamit tayo ng isang serbisyo. So, tax has something to do with the amount that we pay, okay, for any service. For a service or a product. Okay? So, it's an amount that is paid for a service or a product. A service na ginamit ninyo or isang product na binili ninyo. Now, what is this amount? Yung amount na yan actually is the base or we call it the original price of the service or the product na ginagamit natin. Now, when we talk about tax, dalawang klase yan. It's either inclusive or not inclusive. Okay, so it's either inclusive or not inclusive. Ano ang pagkakaiba niyan? Ma'am, yung word po na not. Okay, pag sinabi nating inclusive, ano na yan, kasama na siya dun sa binayaran natin. This is already, the tax actually is already included in the paid amount. Okay, yung binayaran natin, kasama na dun yung tax kapag nakita nyo yung salitang inclusive. Kapag not inclusive, syempre, hindi pa siya kasama, it's a separate amount. Okay? Importanteng malaman ninyo kung yung tax sa isang problem ay inclusive or not. Kasi, dyan ninyo ibabase kung either mag-a-add kayo, magsasubtract, or hindi. Okay? So, without further ado, let's begin solving our problem number 1. Okay. Problem number 1 says, Elaine needs to pay an 8% tax for her 250,000 peso worth of property. How much does she need to pay? Okay, so dito, okay, for this particular problem, we can solve this. Syempre, we need to first fill in the table of values that we have for percent problems. Okay, so let's do this. We have the base and then tax. We have rate and percentage. Okay, as usual, the base rate is equal to, always equal to 100%. Okay, then let's go back to our problem. Elaine needs to pay an 8% tax. Okay, so meron tayong 8% tax. At dahil meron niyang percent sign, it's a rate. So we write here 8%. Okay, for her 250,000 peso worth of property. So it's the worth of the property. Yun yung cost ng property niya. So it's 250,000 peso. It's the base. Okay? So, it's 250,000 pesos. Okay, ma'am, paano natin malalaman kung yan ay inclusive o exclusive? Kung walang nakalagay, hindi natin pwedeng i-assume na inclusive yan. Kung walang nakalagay, hindi rin natin pwedeng automatically i-assume na not inclusive yung, or not included yung tax. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, pag-aralan natin yung problem. Elaine needs to pay an 8% tax for her 250,000 peso worth property. What makes this 250,000 peso a base? Kasi yan yung kanyang property. Yung halaga ng kanyang property. When we talk about worth of property, it's the base price. Okay? Yun yung original price ng property. Now, ang 8% tax ay babayaran pa lang. So, she needs to pay it. So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa kasama. Hindi kasama siya. So, that means it's not included. And besides, the question is, how much does she need to pay? Okay? So, she needs to pay tax. And how much does she need to pay? So, it's separate. Okay? So, for this matter, hindi natin kailangan yung pangatlong row ng ating table, which is the total. Kasi, separate naman siya. At saka, ang itinatanong din naman ay yung tax. So, we move on to our solution. Ratio and proportion tayo, finding the missing term. So, it's a direct proportion. We get our ratios horizontally. And there should be two ratios. Our first ratio is 100 is to 250,000 equals 8 is to P. O gusto nyo letter T para sa tax, walang problema doon kasi variable lang naman yan. Okay? So, any letter will do. But dahil doon sa table natin, it's under P, so I used P. But if you want other letters for that, walang problema. Malaya kayong gumamit ng kahit anong letter ng English alphabet just to denote tax. Okay? Basta siguraduhin nyo huwag kayong malilito. Let's proceed. Multiplying the means and the extremes. So, that means we'll have, for the second line of our computation, 100 times P, that's extremes, excuse me, equals 250,000 times 8. Yung means natin. Okay? And 100 times P sa left side, this amount here will be, okay, technique, 4 na 0 yan, no? 4 na 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Tapos, 8, 25. Ilan yon? That's 200. So, we have 200. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 2 million. Divided by the factor with P. Yung 100. Both sides, divide that by 100. We can cancel out 100 here, leaving us with P. So, P is, bawasan lang natin yan ng dalawa dyan. We'll have 2 followed by 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we go back. How much does she need to pay? When you pay, it's money. So, we have our monetary unit there, peso. So, we have 20,000 peso. She needs, Elaine needs to pay 20,000 pesos as tax. That's problem number 2. Let's have problem number 3. Okay, problem number 2. Ernie paid 420 pesos total for an item with a 12% tax. How much is the original price of the item? So here, we are looking for the original price, and the original price is the base. So we are looking for the base. What are we provided with? We are provided with 420 pesos total yan with and 12% tax. Okay, so let's have our table. You have here the base. Under that is the tax. Okay? Now, before we proceed to filling in the table, magdadagdag tayo ng third row. Bakit tayo magdadagdag ng third row? Sabi kasi dyan, Ernie paid 420 pesos total for an item. Okay? Bumili siya ng item, ang binayaran niya, lahat-lahat ay 420 pesos. Okay? We know that the total amount paid is not the it's not the original price or it's not the base. Okay? Hindi siya yung base. Kasi yung total na binayaran niya may kasamang it's with a tax. It has 12% tax with it. So yung 420 pesos na yan, hindi yan base. Doon yan sa total amount paid. So we'll have a third row here, total. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ng total na yan? Ibig sabihin yan, when we add the base and the tax, we'll have the total amount paid. Okay? Yan yung total niya. Pag ganon, vertical tayo. We add. Now, let's fill in. Again, and again, base rate is always 100%. Then, we fill in the table. Ernie paid 420 pesos total yan. Total, so dito siya. 420. Okay? For an item with a 12% tax. This is 12% tax. How much is the original price of the item? It's the base. So, eto. So, kung titignan natin, gagamit tayo ng ratio and proportion, we need horizontal, di ba? So, meron tayong isa. Ang problema natin, alin sa dalawa, pareho siyang bungi. Okay? Pareho tong merong kulang. Pareho may kulang. So, anong gagawin natin? Ang pinakamainam na gawin natin dyan, yung rate. Okay? Base plus tax is equal to total. So, dahil ito, dalawa yan, kasi you need 2 out of 3 pag vertical. So, this has 2. Pwede natin makuha ito. So, 100 plus 12 is 112%. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung ating second ratio na gagamitin natin sa solution natin. Let's do this. 100 is to P, yung question mark, equals 112 is to 420. Then, we multiply the means and the extremes. We'll come up with P times 112 equals 420 times 100. Ma'am, baliktad po. Okay lang yan. Kasi multiplication is commutative. 420 times 100 is the same as 100 times 420. Kasi commutative ang multiplication. Okay? So, 420 times 100, tatlong zero yan. So, we have 4, 2, 1, 2, 3. 42,000. And that is P times 112. Our divisor for the whole equation will be 112. Bakit 112? Kasi yan yung kasama ni P. Okay? Yung nakamultiply kay P, 112. So, 112 divided by itself is always 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. Times P will have P. And then, 42,000 divided by 112 will give us 375. And yung percentage natin, yung question mark natin has peso sign. So, peso sign. Yan yung ating sagot. 375 pesos. That is the original price. Let's move on to problem number 3. Alice paid 336 pesos for her meal, inclusive of a 5% tax. How much did she pay for the tax? Okay, so eto, titignan natin. This is a two-step word problem, kagaya ng problem number 2. Kaso dun sa solution natin, kung titignan ninyo dun sa problem number 2, hindi tayo nag-compute ng dalawa na magkahiwalay na masyadong bongga, no? Dun lang tayo sa table nag-work. Okay, kasi mas madali doon. Okay, so let's have this. First, we have here inclusive of a 5% tax. So, pag sinabing inclusive, yung 336 na yan na yung total amount paid. Okay? Inclusive kasi. Ibig sabihin, nakapaloob na dyan yung 5% tax. And besides, you are asked how much did she pay for the tax. So, yung 336, nandiyan yung tax. Diyan natin kukunin yung tax na 5%. So, paano gagawin natin dyan? First, let's have our, as usual, yung table of values natin. Table of values. We have base, tax, at dahil may inclusive yan na salita, we have here total. Ano nga ang ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin, we need to add the base and the tax to get the total amount. Okay? Base plus tax equals total. And then, we have here, nalito na ang lola. We have the rate and percentage. As usual, base rate is 100%. Okay? Now, let's have the problem. 336, that's her total amount paid, okay, for her meal. Inclusive na daw kasi yung tax. So, saan natin ilalagay yung 336? Doon sa total. It's 336 here. Next, 5% tax. May 5% tax. So, we have 5%. And we are asked of how much is the tax. So, ito yung question mark natin. So, ang unang ratio natin, yung 5% at saka yung question mark. Ang pangalawa natin ay ano? Ito, yung nasa base row or yung total row. So, ang pinakamadali na kunin ay yung total row. Bakit? 100, 100 plus 5 is 105. Okay? So, ito ang magagamit natin. Let's move on now to our computation. That's 5 is to, ito yan, P equals 105 is to 336. Okay? We multiply the means, multiply the extremes. We'll have P times 105 is equal to 5 times 336. And P now times 105 has the same value as the product of 5 and 336, which is 1,680, excuse me. Okay, solving for P, solving for P, we divide both sides by 105. So, we could cancel this out. Then, we can proceed to dividing 1,680 by 105, which is 16. Okay? And here, 16, yung question mark natin is under P, may peso sign. So, we should have the peso sign before 16. Okay. So, balikan natin yung problem. How much did she pay for the tax? It's 16 pesos. Let's have problem number 4. Okay, our last problem. Sheena paid a total of 546 pesos for an item, tax included. If the tax amounts to 21 pesos, how many percent is the tax? Okay? So, we do not have the rate here, di ba? Kasi yun nga ang tinatanong. So, anong ibig sabihin ng how many percent is the tax? Percent, this is transcribed as this symbol, no? With this symbol. So, ibig sabihin, ang hinahanap natin ay rate. So, we are looking for the tax rate. And we have two amounts, 546 at saka yung 21 pesos. Okay, let's have our table. Okay, tatlong row yung table natin. Bakit nga tatlong row? Kasi ang nakalagay sa problem natin ay tax included. So, we'll have here base, tax, and then total. So, when we add the base and tax, we'll come up with the total. Next column, is rate. Last column is P, percentage. We have base rate is 100%. Okay, so lagay na natin yung iba pang information dyan. Sheena paid a total of 546 for an item. Tax included. Okay, tax included. Ibig sabihin, kasama na yung tax na andi dito yon. So, we have here 546 pesos. If the tax amounts to 21 pesos, yung tax daw, it amounts to 21 pesos. Dito yon, percentage. Okay, this is 21. How many percent is the tax? So, ang question mark natin ay nasa tax rate. So, we have a pair of numbers we could use as ratio. Our first ratio, ito. Ang second ratio natin, alin dyan? So, alin sa dalawa? Tingnan natin muna vertically. Sa vertical, sa column, hindi natin pwedeng gawa ng, hindi tayo makakapag-solve. Kasi, there are 3 cells and you need 2 out of 3. Doon sa rate column. Doon sa percentage column, we have 2 available data out of 3. So, ibig sabihin, pwede natin itong isolve. So, how do we do that? It's base plus tax equals total. So, paano natin ito kukumputin? Isip. Paano yan? Okay, magsasubtract tayo. Okay, so our first part will be to solve for the base. And how do we do that? We get 546 less 21. Okay? Less 21. So, we'll have 5 to 5. So, we'll have 525 pesos. At saan natin yan dadalhin? Itong 525 pesos, dadalhin natin yan dito sa base percentage. So, we have 5 to 5. Ibig sabihin, our second ratio is 105 to 5. Okay? Let's now solve for tax rate. Okay? Ito ang gagamitin natin. 100. Kahit naman alin dyan ang unahin ninyo kopyahin. Okay lang yan ha, kung alin ang maging left side at right side. Ang importante, horizontal ang pagkuha ninyo. Para hindi kayo malito, you do it the way you read, pababa. Okay? And from left to right. So, it's 100 is to 5 to 5. And that is equal to, yung question mark natin under rate, that's R, is to 21. We multiply the means and the extremes. We'll have now 5 to 5 times R is equal to 100 times 21. And what is 100 times 21? It's 21 with 2 zeros. So, 5 to 5 times R is equal to 2,100. We divide both sides by 525. We cancel this out. That's equivalent to 1, leaving us with R. And R is 2,100 divided by 525. That is 4. That's 4. Dahil yan ay rate, we need to have percent sign here. So, yun yung sagot. Hindi tayo nag-move ng decimal point. We did not change percent to decimal, then decimal to percent. Diretso tayo kasi ang ginamit natin ay ratio and proportion. But if you are going to use formula, naka-formula base yung inyong computation, hindi ninyo pwedeng gamitin yung rate as is. Kasi you need to change that first to decimal before you can use it for computation. Okay? So, dito, dahil naka-ratio and proportion tayo, okay lang na ginamit natin yung rate without changing it to decimal. Okay? So, that's problem number 4. I hope you learned something from this video, and I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, like the videos I have in there, yung magustuhan ninyo, paki-like lang. If you want to comment, then you're free to do so. Wag lang pong masyadong hanash na na comments. Okay? There are other videos available in my channel if you wish to view for them. Okay lang para makatulong sa inyo. As you can see, kadalasan yung mga computations na pinipresent ko sa inyo para sa akin. Yan na yung pinaka madaling intindihin na solution. Okay? But if you have other ways of solving a particular problem, then you may do so as long as you follow the rules of algebra. Okay? That's all for now. Thank you and God bless.